Hi guys, welcome back to Stitch to Victory. Today we're going to be teaching you how to make a doggy bandana for your cute four-legged furry friend, and it's reversible. So stick with me and we can do this. Hi Victory Stitchers, Jules back again with my sewing helper Maya. Maya is getting a new bandana today we're going to make on this video. So the first thing I need to do, and you'll need to do depending on which dog you've got, you're going to have different neck measurements. So I'm going to measure the circumference around her neck loosely. I just place a tape measure around her neck and join it up, but I want to make sure that I've got enough room that I can put both my hands in quite comfortably, so there's plenty of give. Now for Maya, this is 17 inches, which is about 43 centimetres. And then I'm going to add another 10 inches to that, which makes 27 inches. All up, that is about 69 centimetres. This bandana will be a reversible one. We have a green floral for the front, and for the back we have a coral plain solid colour, and like I say, reversible. The actual structure will end up being basically this, if you can imagine that. So this is the bit that comes down on the dog's chest and the rest ties around the neck. Now with my coral fabric, it was not wide enough for me to cut that 27-inch piece of fabric, so I had to do it in two halves, and I'm going to stitch those together, and I've allowed an extra 1/4 of an inch for each piece because I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have got green thread up top for my sewing machine, and in the bobbin I've got cream, mainly because I didn't have any thread in my stash that would match this coral pink, but just something fairly light and unobtrusive. Now I've placed right sides together. So that's the pretty sides together because we're going to start stitching. We've got 3 sides to the triangle. The long side stays open. So we'll just start by doing, it's the V part of the bandana, the bit that sits on the dog's chest down in that V shape. So we'll just start holding our threads out to the side so they don't get tangled. We back stitch to lock those stitches in place. And as I said before, I'm doing approximately a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's perfect for this type of project. Now as I get down to the point of the triangle, I'm going to want to pivot to head back towards the other corner. So I need to stop before I get to the corner and make sure my needle is down. So when I'm about a 1/4 of an inch away, stop. Raise the presser foot, move that around, and then continue on my merry way. It pays to point out here though, because I've got a triangle, some of these edges are actually not on the straight grain, they're actually on what we call the bias, so it's like the diagonal, which gives the material a lot more stretch. So be careful not to pull the fabric, and just let those feed dogs underneath guide that fabric through. You don't need to pull or push or anything, you just let the machine do the work for you. Back stitch to finish. Make sure that take up lever's up, needles up, presser foot up, and there is our first seam. I'm going to trim this back now, just trim the threads off. And I have got a point down here which I need to actually remove. I need to cut this because when we turn it around we want as little bulk here as possible. This point here we're going to clip. We're not going to clip through the stitching, just shy of that stitching so nothing unravels. We clip that corner off, And it pays also just to do a little bit more over here. Again, don't get caught in that thread, don't cut through that thread. But what that does is it takes a lot of the bulk around. So now we're just going to turn it round the right way. And because we've got rid of that bulk, we can just push through and we'll get a nice point, a nice crisp point without any bulk taking up the room. So now you can join me over at the iron and we will press this nice and flat. Now just before I iron this, I want to make sure that I've got nothing caught under like this. I want to make sure that my seam is right out. So I'm just kind of rolling it between my finger and thumb just to make sure it's all in the right place. And then I'm just going to place the iron over there and press it down. And there we go. One nice triangle and we're ready to start on the neckband. Here are our two neckband pieces. I've got the green on the top. Again, I've put them right sides together. On the other side, you can see where I've just stitched the two pieces together because I needed a bigger one. This is because I'm using my scrap stash. I'm now going to take them to the machine and I'm going to do exactly what I did before with the triangle, except I'm going to stitch 3/4 of a rectangle. Short end, long end, short end, leaving the other long end open. Again, threads out, holding them down, start stitching, little back stitch to lock those in place. Again, another 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, stopping about 1/4 of an inch before we have to turn. Put that down. I'm going to go in Spitfire mode now, so that's just going to speed up and then I'll meet you back at the other end. Okay, just coming up to that end now, about 1/4 of an inch away with the presser foot, pivot around 90 degrees and stitch to the end with a back stitch. And again, we're going to clip those corners, we're going to flip it around and press it down so that it's nice and flat. And then I'll show you another little trick with the iron. Right, so we've stitched the 3 sides of the rectangle. I've clipped the corners on the inside as we did with the triangular piece. I've turned it the right way around and I have pressed the stitched edge just like we did with the 2 sides of the triangle. Now we're dealing with the raw edges that are left over, that 4th side of the rectangle. And what I've done is I've just pressed one side of the fabric in about 1/4 of an inch, pressed it in with the iron, and then done the same with the other. And I'll show you, I've got some still left to do, so I'll show you what we did. So we're just going to take that edge about 1/4 of an inch, and you can eyeball it, it doesn't have to be exact. So we're just going to press that and then we'll take the green, fold it over until those nice folded edges lie exactly in alignment with each other, and press the green down as well. And just keep doing that until you get to the end. Now when you get to the end, I'm just going to open that up, fold it over the 1/4 of an inch, press it with my fingers a little bit to hold it in place, and that catches that edge in there. And when we just give that a tug, we can actually go ahead and finish pressing that pink bit as we did before, and then the green bit over the top. Making sure those folded edges line up with each other. And there we have it, all pressed and ready to sew. Right, we're going to have to attach our triangle to our rectangle. So I'm flipping it over simply because I had to stitch two pieces together that were the same length. That's our halfway mark. Otherwise just fold it in half and make a little mark. Do the same with the triangle piece, and I'm actually going to use a pin to mark my halfway mark. So my pin is going in here, and I know that is the midway point of that raw edge. So I know I'm going to be lined up and I'm going to have the same overhang on each side. So I'm going to place the triangle, open up the rectangle, place the triangle inside as much as I can. That's my halfway. And fold the rectangle back down over it, and that will catch in the raw edges of the triangle as well as finishing off the folded in raw edges of the rectangle. I'm going to secure that because we don't want to lose our place. I'm going to place a few pins just down here just to help us when we're stitching. Make sure that everything is caught and there are no raw edges left unattended. So I've actually flipped it over with the green side facing me, simply because I've got the green thread at the top, so I've now placed the pins from the point of view of the green side. There's no point in stitching green thread on the pink and what have you. So I've just pinned it down. I've made sure that when I've pinned it, the pins go through the pink as well. There's nothing worse than if you're top stitching along here and you find you've missed something on the other side, but it should work out fine because we were careful when we pressed it to make sure those edges were nice and matched. So I'm just going to put it under the needle now, starting at this end, and I'm stitching about an eighth of an inch or a little less from the edge, quite close to the edge. Don't forget to stop and take those pins out so you don't go breaking your needle. And every time you stop, it's good to have your needle in a down position. That's our first line of top stitching done. I'm just going to take that to the iron and give it a quick press, make sure it's nice and flat. I'll be right back. The last step is just to do a little bit of top stitching around the edges of the triangle, very, very close to the edge, maybe an eighth of an inch, no more than that. And that just finishes it off and makes it look really nice. You'll be starting at the point at the original line of stitching you did, so you're going to start from that point and then come down. And we will pivot just a smidge before we get to that corner. Turn the wheel by hand if need be, and I think about there. Lift and pivot that piece of work around and then just continue back to the original line of stitching. And we are done. Just a couple of little threads to trim and then we can bring our doggy model back and see how it fits. Right, mine is back and we're just going to see how this fits for size. I think we'll do the green side out just to start with. So simply just goes around and just tie it in a loose reef knot. And we've made plenty of room in there, so it's not going to be too snug. So here we go. Or alternatively, if you decide your dog is in more of a coral pink mood than a green mood, flip it around. Tie it up. Give it a jaunty tilt to the side, and there you go. Good girl. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Click the subscribe button and please leave your comments below, and it'd be great to hear from you. You can also check me out on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, see you later.